Hey guys, Don here from Clark County Search and Rescue. I'm out here today practicing skills that Morgan from Winter Warfare and I think are critical skills to your survival. Today we're solely focusing on fire starting, the tools I use and recommend, some basic terminology, and how to find dry wood in any environment. With that said, let's jump into the tools I use. The tools I'm currently using are a ferro rod, a fixed blade, and a foldable saw. The ferro rod is to create a spark, our fixed blade is for batoning or woodworking, and the foldable saw is for processing wood in the field. Let's talk about the terminology around fuel itself so you have a better understanding on how to effectively start a fire. The three words we're using today are tinder, kindling, and fuel. Tinder is anything small enough to create a flame off a simple spark, like Vaseline cotton balls, moss, frayed up grass, frayed up cedar bark, birch bark, etc. Kindling is going to be anything from a finger size up to a wrist size, and that's what we're going to add on top of our tinder. After that, we have our fuel. Fuel is anything wrist size and above. So when you are laying out your fire, you're going to start with your smallest size and work your way up to the fuel. If you just take a flame to a piece of wood, a large, we'll say wrist size diameter, our fuel, it's not going to spark that easy. Now let's say you spark that moss and then you placed pencil size on top. There's going to be enough energy created from the flame on the moss to start that pencil size. And we slowly start adding a larger stick, a larger stick, a larger stick, stopping if any smoke occurs because we need to have enough energy to burn that next size up. Eventually, you'll work your way up to fuel. Now that we know how to effectively utilize our fuel, let's head into the field and locate some dry wood. Now when you're out hiking around looking for something dry in a relatively damp area or environment, what we're looking for is dead standing trees, like this one here, or maybe something suspended off the ground. There's one off in the distance there. Another one here. All of these are great options and will more than likely be dry once we cut inside. So I'll demonstrate here and then we'll head back to the fire. This is where that saw comes into play. Once you identify your dead standing or suspended branch, you want to make sure the diameter of this is not longer or wider than the length of your blade. I've identified this is shorter than my blade, so this is going to be a good option for us. Now you can see here, this is nice and dry. Everything else around here is fairly saturated. So we know we can take this back to camp and process this wood down. Now let's head back to camp and I'll show you how to process it. Now that we know how to identify and locate dry wood in a harsh environment using dead standing trees and suspended branches, let's go into the process itself. For this, we're going to need our fixed blade, the wood we located, and another piece for processing. This is where batoning comes into play. When you're batoning, you want to strike your blade through this whole piece, breaking it down from fuel size down to your kindling, as small as you can. Once you do that, your next step is going to be creating a feather stick. I'll demonstrate that now. When creating a feather stick, you want to place your piece of wood down at a slight angle with incremental pressure with your blade, slowly shaving down. And I'll do this on a couple sides And it doesn't have to be pretty. All we're really doing is just edging into this a little bit. The reason being is I want to spark this here, and I'm hoping there's enough energy once this ignites to burn the centerpiece, which then will burn the larger fuel all the way up to the largest size we have, whether it's wrist or above. But like I said before, we want to start from the smallest size, working our way up. We can't do that if we just throw this large stick on there and call it good. So running feather sticks like this is going to be beneficial in the field, and this is what I did here. I placed 5 of these feather sticks in the center of my log cabin, and once it ignites, we should be good to go. So we went through the terminology, we went through how to locate the dry wood, we went through how to process it, make a very simple feather stick. Now let's go into the fire itself. So to create a fire, you need 3 things. You need the fuel, which we have here. We need spark or heat, which we have with our ferro rod, lighter, etc. And you need oxygen. We have all 3 of those, but there is a balance to that. You can't have too much fuel, too much oxygen, or not enough heat. With that said, I'll spark this fire and I'll demonstrate how having too much fuel can cause a reaction, and you'll know what to do once that happens. So today we're going to use the ferro rod, but you can have a windproof lighter, stormproof matches, etc. On your ferro rod, sometimes there's a small layer of some sort of film. I'm not sure what it is, but usually a black coating. I usually will scrape that coating off, and then you'll want to do a nice even stroke into your fire. So I'll demonstrate that now. Now that we got this going, if we wanted to, we could slowly add smaller sticks on there, but I'm confident this will be going okay. Here's another good demonstration. You can see that immediately caught on fire. Now, let me take one that's not a feather stick. Nothing here. That's why we want to do the feather stick and start from the smallest size, working our way up, because there's a lot of energy here. Even then, it's not enough to catch this piece on fire. Now I'm going to demonstrate having too much fuel on the fire and what it'll do. So we're at the point, we're burning good, we're about a thumb size, and we feel like this fire is going well, so we just start adding fuel to this fire. You can see what starts to happen. It's starting to smoke. This means we have too much fuel and not enough oxygen or not enough heat to keep this going. There's a few things we can do to remedy this. One is blowing on your fire with a bellow, or just getting down low and blowing on it, or maybe just removing some of the fuel or resituating it. So if you're ever out there and you start a fire and it starts smoking, maybe the fuel is wet and you need to locate new dry wood, or maybe you have too much fuel on there, or there's just not enough oxygen or not enough heat. It's all a balance, and if you get out there in the field, you'll understand. Thanks for watching, and feel free to leave a comment on any tips, tricks, and techniques below.